So you've probably heard people saying only 2% of white people own slaves. It's one of those statistics that gets thrown around to make slavery seem like it was rare. But that's a myth. Let's break down why the number is misleading and what the reality actually was. So in 1860, just before the Civil War, the South had about 8 million residents. Out of that, around 385,000 households owned slaves. That works out to about 32% of white Southern families, nearly a third. But here's where it gets even more important. When we include everyone in the household, wives, children, grandparents, the number of white Southerners who were directly part of a slaveholding family jumps to over 4 million people. That's almost half of the entire white Southern population. So where does this 2% come from? It usually comes from counting all white people in the U.S., North and South, as if slavery was equally spread across the country, but that's not reality. Slavery was concentrated in the South. And that's where ownership was widespread. In fact, owning slaves wasn't limited to just super rich planters. Many families with just a few slaves still participated in the system. And many poor whites who didn't own slaves hoped one day that they would. Slave ownership was a status symbol and a pathway to economic and social mobility. And even if a white Southerner didn't personally own slaves, they still benefited from the system. Overseers worked the plantations, poor farmers rented land, merchants sold goods to planters, and politicians protected that institution. Beyond the South, northern banks, insurance companies, and shipping firms made fortunes financing and transporting slave-grown goods like cotton and sugar. So slavery wasn't just a Southern system, it was a national economy. So that myth of only 2% is meant to minimize how deep slavery ran in America. The truth is, slavery wasn't a fringe institution controlled by a tiny elite. It was a system that millions of families were tied to and benefited from. And that's why its legacy is still with us today. These are the ugly truths that we must face. I've been getting this message a ton, especially with the content that I'm putting out, which is never meant to divide. It's just to face those things that they're trying to wipe under the rug or wipe out completely. We have to face these ugly truths to move forward and for people to understand why a lot of us are where we are today. You dig what I'm saying? I love y'all. Thank y'all for coming in. Thank y'all for sharing, man. If you give me a like, dude, I would really appreciate it. It'll help me move up in the algorithm, and I'll keep knowing that you guys want me to do stories like this. I love y'all. Y'all be good to each other.